morning, guys. Hi, and how are you doing? I'm so happy to have you here in our class today. We are continuing our Chase the Dream series. We are DOT FMCSA compliance specialists. Our series is Operations Managing Your Trucking Business. Today's topic is going to be saving money via fuel management. We're also going to give you tips on saving fuel. So my name is Linda Jenkins, and I'm with DOT FMCSA Compliance Specialist. This free webinar series is given to you guys in hopes that we can help with all the new owner-operators that are out there. Our telephone number, if you'd like to contact us for more information, is 559-319-8464. Our email address is dotfmcsacompliancespecialists@gmail.com. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel, DOT FMCSA Compliance Specialist. In addition to that, we do have more and new transportation business courses available. If you'd like to join our email list today, you can get access to those courses. Remember, if you enjoy this series, please like, share, and follow at your earliest convenience. Thank you, guys, and let's go ahead and get started in today's program. So today's program, like I said earlier, is dealing with fuel management. The first thing that you need to know is that fuel is going to be your biggest impact on your bottom line. So for you to be able to improve your business and be able to grow your business, you're going to have to know how to keep those costs as low as possible while still continuing to provide the best service possible. So it's kind of a fine line, but it always helps when you know your numbers. So that's what we're going to look at the first portion of this presentation. Now, in our last video, if you've been keeping up with our presentation series, we discussed the minimum cent per mile that you need to take for a load. On a 2,500 mile per week, now this is, with the allowance of one truck, a rented or leased or purchasing trailer, one full-time owner-operator driver, and a spouse at home. Now, if your expenses are more than this, you need to make allocation for this. Now, at the rates that I've given here, you'll notice that it does not allow any room for your business to expand or grow. So these are the bare minimums to keep your business afloat. This is the reason why we say no to cheap freight, because if you want your business to grow, you're going to have to take your loads on the mass majority at a higher rate than what I'm showing. Now, I don't really want to go into details all over this. Y'all can kind of look at the slide there. And basically speaking, on a 2,500 mile per week, you're going to have to make $5,100 gross at $2.05 a mile. Or if you pull 3,000 miles per week, you're going to need over $5,500 per week gross to account for that extra fuel and the wear and tear on your vehicle. So your break-even point there would be $1.85 a mile. Now remember, that does not allow room for expansion or growth. So let's see how we can make those numbers better for you even at those rates, so that you can keep more of that money in your pocket. So on average, one full-time over-the-road driver. Now, if you're inside the city doing local or regional, I can't, give you those numbers. I'm giving the numbers for the people who are over the road, where they're pulling, either a 2,500 a week mileage or 3,000. Okay, basically speaking, you're going to make between 180,000 to about 215 to 230. Really basically it depends on how hard you're running. Okay, but just to get a good number, I settled at $210,000 a year. Now that's before any expenses or anything. That's just total money in your pocket. That's not paying any bills. Okay, so when you are breaking down your numbers, usually you have 30% that goes toward fuel, 30% that goes toward your maintenance, 30% that goes toward taxes and other expenses, and then the remaining part is your payment or um, your family in case of emergencies. Okay, so we're only going to look at the 30% that is allocated for the fuel cost. Now, on a national average, 30% is about what it takes to run a truck. Now, usually that's running about 5.5 to 6.5 miles per gallon. So, if you have an automatic truck, you're probably going to get better gas mileage than that. But it really also depends on what you're hauling, how heavy your load is, and what kind of terrain you're going over. So again, we're going to use the number 210,000. So at 30% of a $210,000 year, you're looking at $63,000 on average for your fuel consumption for the year. That's going to be an average week of about $1,200 that you're going to spend on fuel. Now, depending on where you're running, if you're doing West Coast or you're doing on the Northeast corridor, you're going to be probably spending a whole lot more than that. But on a national average, you're going to run about $1,200. Okay, that's what we're just going to sit there and say. Okay, now, so on the last slide, we did everything at the national average, which is the 30%. Now we're looking at, okay, we're going to start cutting back a little bit and seeing how we can reduce our fuel consumption and our miles per gallon to a better extent. Now, I mean, that can be as little as lowering your speed by 5 miles per hour. That can be as little as not overfilling your tank so that you can, not let the overflow happen. We'll get into more details on how you can help with this later on in the presentation. Let's just look at, for right now, at 25% consumption per year, that's going to cost you $52,500. So if you look at the 63,000 that was from the 30% minus the 52,500, then just doing just the little things, you've saved $10,500. That's $10,500 that's now in your pocket. That $10,500 that you're saving on your fuel consumption, boom, can be used for new equipment purchases. So just keep that in mind. At $52,500 per week, that's 52 weeks, your per weekly amount spent on fuel dropped down to $1,009. So if you look at how much you were spending at the 30%, that's the $1,211.53 minus the $1,009 that you are now spending. You have now saved $201. So that's about a third of a tank of fuel right there. You know, that's an oil change that you just saved in 1 week by cutting back. You know, so keep that in mind. You know, getting your 90-day inspection, that's how you can save and do it. Just cut back some on how you're running that week. You know, if I realize sometimes you have to run hard, but you don't have to do that on every trip. That's a habit, that's not a necessity. Okay, we're going to get into it more detail later on, but just keep that in mind, especially if your money's tight and you're trying to figure out, okay, I've got these things I got to do. How am I going to save this money? Right here, your fuel consumption is your most expensive thing. And guys, if you can save on it, then you can do more with your trucking company and with your truck over the long haul. Now, this one here, this is 20%. Now, most likely, you're not going to be able to hit 20%, not unless you've reduced your rate, you know, of your fuel, kind of like a prime truck where you're running 55 to 58 miles an hour, you know, for their company drivers. Everybody's past them. But they have a good reason for that. And believe me, I took a test on it with my Peterbilt, and I was like, oh my gosh, my fuel miles per gallon, oh my goodness gracious. I saved all kinds of money by dropping it down to 55 miles per hour. Now I was afraid, you know, well, I'm going to lose loads. Well, that's dependent on how many miles you want to run and how long you're willing to stay out on the road. If you're willing to stay out on the road and you're willing to drive, you know, 55, 60 miles an hour, you're going to save a whole lot of money. And that 20% fuel for the year, it's totally possible. Even in a 2012 Peterbilt, I was able to do it. So here it is. And it was mine, and it was my company. It wasn't, you know, I wasn't running for a big guy. I'm just a little, you know, one shop operation, you know. So anyway, you know, I started right on the ground floor like everybody else, you know. But this here will help you save money. So at 20% fuel consumption per year, you're looking at $42,000 per year. Now, if we went back to the 63,000 at 30% to the 42,000 that is at 20%, you're looking at a $21,000 per year savings from the original 30%. At 52 weeks for the 42,000, you're looking at $807 per week spent on fuel. And if you look at the savings per week, okay, that's a $403 savings. That's like getting a free tank of fuel almost, or at least a half a tank, depending on how big your tanks are, you know, and what the fuel rates are. So think about that, guys. What would you do with 403 extra dollars? I mean, that if you worked at the house and you had an office job, that's what your weekly payment might be. Your weekly bring home, and you've saved it just by going slower and watching what you're doing so that you're managing your fuel better. Okay? So let's recap on just this portion. Now, remember, we've got other portions coming, but these are the important. This is a side-by-side comparison of the 30%, the 25%, and the 20%. So the national average is 63,000, which is $1,200 per week spent on fuel. At 25%, that's 52.5, and an average week of $1,009. So $1,000. Okay, so you've dropped it about $200 there. At 20%, and that's running about 55 to 58 miles per hour, you're looking at $807 a week spent on fuel. That's $21,000 savings per year. That's a reefer trailer that is used but in very, very good condition. Pay cash out of pocket simply because you decided to rein in for a year. I mean, my goodness, that's a new car for your spouse. That's a new car for your son or daughter. That's that's what, 2 semesters in any university, or at least one, depending on how much you spend and what kind of university you're going to. So guys, don't tell me you can't save money by fuel management, because you definitely can, especially if you're a full-time owner operator. And just remember, this is only on one truck. If you have more than one truck, you could almost double these numbers. So if you're wanting to grow your business, go smart in the beginning when you're first starting out. If you do that, look, you're going to have your trucks. But you got to be smart about it in the start. You got to remember, you got to pay yourself. And the way you pay yourself is management of that fuel. That's your biggest expense other than insurance, truck payment, and fuel. Those are your three biggest expenses that are involved in owning a truck. So let me go ahead and we're going to proceed from here. In addition to what you're doing, you're going to have to make sure that you're not scared as an owner operator. Being scared as an owner operator is going through that weigh station, going through audits, going through, if you get pulled over by DOT or by a state boy, you need to know that your maintenance program is up to date. You need to know that your safety regulations are being met. You need to know that you have a drug policy. You need to know that you have employee handbooks. If, even an owner operator, you have to think with two caps. You have the owner side, and then you have the operator side where you are your own employee. And you have to have certain documents for your company, even on yourself. If you can't maintain all of that and still be able to drive and sleep, then you're going to hire a qualified expert. That's where we can help. Please contact us. Subscribe for free to find out when we're doing our next updates, or contact us directly for assistance. We can help you. All you got to do is give us a call. It's DOT FMCSA Compliance Specialists. Our number is 559-319-8464, or you can email us direct at dotfmcsacompliancespecialists@gmail.com. Guys, we're a team out here, and if you want to be able to survive and get everything taken care of and know you can go through those audits without any issue, you're going to have an expert, and that's where we can help. Just give us a call, and we'll be glad to assist you in any way that we can. So we've looked at our numbers and everything, and now we need to show you some tips to help you save some money so that you can get your numbers from that 30% down to the 20%, or from 30 to 25, whichever one you want to do. You don't have to go through and do all of these tips, but at least hopefully you'll do some of them, because that way you can keep more money and you can afford to do the things that you're wanting to do with your business, whether it's stay as a one truck operation, or whether it's to grow to a larger company with 100 trucks or more. You still, if you're watching your fuel management, you can accomplish this a whole lot easier. So the 4 things that we're going to go over is maintenance, compliance, and regulations. After that, we'll be discussing scheduling your fuel stops. The 3rd thing is scaling your load. And then the 4th thing is going to be speed management. So for fuel management, tips to help you save. For maintenance and compliance regulations, please remember you have a 90-day maintenance plan, and you have to have that in place. If you need the worksheet to help you go and schedule yourself out, contact me. I can send you the 90-day maintenance plan. Okay, and it's approved, and it tells you what you need to actually have checked when you're doing your 90-day maintenance plan. The next one is your annual maintenance inspection. You have to have that annual inspection sticker or paper showing that you've had that done. And I had one done in Texas last year, and the guy was telling me, oh, no, you don't need that anymore. Well, you may not need it in Texas, which I have a hard time believing anyway, but you might need it over in Michigan, or you might need it in California. So it's always best, even if they don't want to give it to you, you've paid for that service, print out a form, bring it back and tell them, hey, fill this out, sign it so that I have something to document that I had this annual inspection done. The next thing is avoiding excessive idling in your truck. Now, if you have the ability to keep your air conditioner running, without idling your truck, that's a great thing. But a lot of people, they don't. And what you can do is, have your truck cooled down before you stop. Keep your fan running. Once you get ready to lay down for the night, shut it off. And if you don't shut it off, just know that anytime it's running and it's not actually moving, that's wasting your fuel. So it's really up to you. I know it can get hot back there, guys, but this is your business. And if you're trying to save money for a trailer, so that you don't have to rent a trailer, or you don't have to lease a trailer, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet for a little while and do what it is that you need to do until you get what you want. Okay? But you're the only one that can make that determination as to whether that's what you're going to do. I mean, you have windows, you have fans. Yeah, it can kind of get loud if you're, next to, sorry guys, some of the older Peterbilts and stuff like that, they can run quite loud. But, just, I know a lot of people don't like parking by reefers. To me, I liked parking by reefers. Of course, I hauled reefers there for a while as well. But, it was just the hum of the motor that I liked. But, I mean, it's all a matter of taste, I guess. But the big thing is avoid excessive idling of your truck if you can, okay? By all means, I'm not saying, stay back there and stifle yourself, but also abide by the laws and the regulations as set forth for whatever state you happen to be traveling in, okay? The next thing we're looking at is tips to help you save for your fuel stops, okay? Now, I'm not giving pallet free advertising. I'm sorry, that's just the picture that was available for me. They do not sponsor me in any kind of way. Maybe I should contact them and ask them to, but they don't, and neither does Mayflower. But the main point with this slide is to tell you, even if you're traveling, by the time you get down to between an eighth and a quarter of a tank, you need to be looking for a place to already have the ability to get your fuel. Now, I know when you're out in the desert sometimes, or you're out there and inclement weather and stuff like that, sometimes it's very difficult to find a place where you can fuel at. So in those instances, what I would do is I would take a short hop. In other words, I'd just put like, $50 worth in, or I'd put $100 worth in, just enough to get me to a gas station or a fuel station where I could do it at the cheapest rate. Now, be careful though. You want to put those cleaners in there if you're using mom and pops, because you don't know what the fuel quality is. They say one thing, that doesn't mean that's always what it is. And if you put that additive that you put in the wintertime in your fuel, even in the summertime, the Boost It, then you can actually get rid of the water in case there was any kind of water in that fuel tank, okay, when you pumped your fuel. So remember to keep that Octane Booster, the one that you use for winterizing your fuel to keep it from gelling up. Put that into your fuel even in the summertime. It's going to help with your MPG as well. The next one is, I know a lot of people, they want to get in and out of that fuel island as quickly as possible. But in the summertime, especially like when you're down in Phoenix and stuff, when it gets extremely hot, you really don't want to fuel quickly, because the faster you fuel, the more you're stirring that fuel up when it's going into your tank. When you stir that fuel up, it's going to give off those fumes. Those fumes are fuel that you could have kept in your tank, okay? I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but over a year's time, especially during the summertime, that can make a big difference. Another thing is fuel in the morning time or at night, okay? Don't fuel, like if you're shutting down for the night, don't fuel then, because people could steal your fuel. You get up and then, after you've done fueled your tanks, somebody could have stole your fuel while you were asleep. So, if you're going to leave like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, then fuel. Fuel at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't fuel when you're shutting down for the night. That's not always the best thing. The last thing is don't overfill your tank. Now, if you're fueling your tank and you're getting ready to pop that lid off, that cap off, and you see black all around your fuel, on your fuel tank, well, guess what? You've been overfilling that tank, and anything that comes out of that tank, because it's gotten hot and it's been stirred up as you're going down the road, and it's like, overflowing outside of your tank, well, that's wasted money on the highway. As you driving down the highway, you're losing your money. I know a lot of these big companies, they say, oh, you need to top it off. Oh, you need to top it off. Well, you do need to top it off, but you still also need to leave room for expansion, because that fuel, as you're riding down the road, it has to have room to expand. You know, uh, it just does. And if you're finding that black soot-like stuff on your, or greasy, grimy stuff on your fuel tank, that means that you overfueled. So wherever you fueled at the last time, whatever that level was, bring it down a notch until when you're fueling, you're not getting that black stuff all over your fuel tanks, okay? That way you're not losing money when you didn't know that you were. Now, another thing is a lot of people don't understand how they put your load into your trailer makes a big difference on how much fuel you're actually going to get. I provided a slide here that shows 21 pallets, 24 pallets, in both ways, and then, one in the pinwheel and one in the straight, and then also, 26 pallets, so that you could get an idea of what it needs to be laid out as, okay? If I have an oddball one, here they put the oddball on the back. I pulled reefer, so I like the oddball to be on the front, on the nose, especially if I had it where I could put like a single, double, single, and then doubles all the way back. Okay, or I'd put a single and doubles all the way back and then another single at the very end, if I had room to do so. If not, then I always tried to do it with the straight one, like what is shown at the 24 pallets there, the second one, okay? So your weight distribution on each axle actually does make a big difference. Keep your load short and centered. Now, short, I don't mean less than the 48-foot mark on a 53-foot trailer. I mean height-wise. If you're pulling like a flatbed, that will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Keep your load below the height of your truck, okay? Or, if you're pulling like a van or a reefer, the lower the center of gravity, the less drag you're going to have. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Keep your load short and centered on your axle weight. Now, I told you before we're going to talk about speed management. Speed management basically comes in, well, I listed 3 here, but if I had to do it over again, I'd go ahead and list 4, I think. Speed management is staying in the highest gear that you possibly can for as long as you can, as long as you're not dragging that transmission, okay? The next one is using your momentum. If you're going through a hilly area, okay, use your momentum from the hill that you just came off of to climb the hill that you're fixing to go up for as long as you can, and keep it in the highest gear as possible. Don't shift until you actually have to. Watch your RPMs. That way you're not using your brakes as much, but you're letting your motor control your speed, whether you slow down or whether you're going faster. Just obey what the signs say and watch your gauges, because that's going to help you out the best. And remember, it doesn't matter if 60 zillion other trucks pass you. They don't know what you're carrying. You do. And you yourself know what you can handle. I had the best advice tell me once, this guy at a rest area. I was going from Flagstaff over to Phoenix, and you got those 3 major grades there, and I was at one of the rest areas there, and I was green at the time, and the guy was like, look, you are the captain of your ship. It doesn't matter what the other boats do. You are the captain of yours, and you know what you can handle. If these people, and this was before they put in those speed regulations, if these people want to pass you like that, let them be stupid. You'll meet back up with them at the bottom of the hill, and they might be laying sideways, or they might be up on one of those ramps, but you won't. Not if you're watching your speed and your gauges, and let your transmission dictate how fast or how slow you're going. Don't ride those brakes, because you don't want to burn those brakes off and not have any brakes at the bottom of the hills. So be careful, especially on those sharp grades. Okay, anything greater than 6%, you need to be watching your gauges over. Okay, and if you're a new driver, anything over 5%, until you can actually get used to it. Now, I know over in Ohio, I actually went down a 12% grade on a regular basis. So that was a little bit hairy, but it was fun. That's for the more experienced drivers, but it was fun. Just remember, on speed management, stay in the highest gear possible. Use your momentum to go from one hill, going down one hill up the other hill, okay? If you start the hill at the top of the hill, if you start it there at 35 miles per hour, by the time you reach the bottom, most likely you're going to be hitting, unless not watch what you're doing, you could be topping 70, 75 miles an hour. Of course, that's not safe, in most instances. But, that's the reason why you want to watch those gauges. Don't ride your brakes. Use your gauges and your shifting to get you into the correct gear, so that you're not tacking out too high. The next thing is your moderate braking. Now, we've talked about hills and stuff. Moderate braking can also be when you're in a traffic jam. Leave as much room as you can in front of you. It doesn't matter if they want to flood in front of you, let them, and you back off. Because if you sit there and you go at a slow speed, not having to hit your brakes all the time, then you're going to have better fuel mileage through that traffic jam. If you are braking and staying on the back of somebody, first of all, that's dangerous. Second of all, you're consuming fuel every time you're having to shift up and shift down. If you find yourself shifting too many times and your foot is getting tired, when you're going through that traffic jam, then you need to back off. You're doing it too aggressively. You should be able to go through a traffic jam and just slide right through there, occasionally hitting your brakes. You should always be able to move at a slow pace. Even if you're in, fifth gear, fourth gear sometimes, that's okay. You don't have to be, a road king to get through a traffic jam. So let's review everything that we talked about. First was knowing your numbers, the difference between fuel usage and consumption at 30% all the way down to 20%. Remember, if you get good at managing your fuel, at the end of 1 year, if you can do it just for 1 year, by the time you finish, you have enough money set aside from the savings that you have to put $21,000 down on a new truck or on a new trailer. That's new equipment, and you didn't do anything. You didn't borrow from anybody. That's your money that you didn't just throw out the window. Your maintenance and your compliance regulations. In other words, make sure that you're going by that 90-day inspection of your truck and your annual inspection. Make sure that you're taking care of those tires every time you stop. Make sure that you're checking your fluid levels in your truck. A well-oiled machine is going to get you better fuel mileage. It doesn't matter if you're, running an older truck or a newer truck. If you're watching and making sure that that truck is well maintained, then you're going to be able to make more money. The next one is scheduling your fuel stops. Make sure that you use something like Trucker Path or your GPS to get the best rate when you're fueling. Sometimes it's just as simple as crossing a state line. As well as I do. Once you cross the state lines coming from New Mexico to California, every state line you cross, you're going up about 20 or 30 cents. So, that's per gallon. So schedule where and when you're going to get your fuel for the best savings. The next one is scaling your load. Make sure that you're running it down the center and you're keeping that load as short as possible, because the shorter you have it, the better you're going to be able to get on your fuel mileage. Make sure that you're doing 34, and 12, equaling out to 80,000 pounds. Don't be running overweight, okay? The next one is speed management. Make sure that you remember you are the captain of your ship. If you want to be able to do more things with your trucking company, it's up to you to maintain how fast you go. This is your business. I'm just trying to help you out. But if you want your business to succeed as best as it can, make sure you're managing your speed. The lower you go, the substantial savings that you will get is amazing. Try it out for a month. If you don't want to do it for a year, try it for a month and see how much your fuel bill goes down. You got to save your receipts anyway. Do a side-by-side comparison with your own truck. Drop your speed by 5 miles per hour. And then, if you like that results, drop it by another 5 and see where you're at money-wise. You might lose a couple of loads, but it's more than made up by how much you're saving in your fuel cost. So there you have it, guys. That's our So again, I want to thank each and every one of you on attending today's session for managing your trucking company, saving money via fuel management. Again, this is a free presentation given by DOT FMCSA compliance specialist. We're located in Fresno, California. My name is Linda Jenkins. If you'd like to call us, if you have any questions, our telephone number is 559-319-8464. You can email us direct at dotfmcsacompliancespecialists@gmail.com, or you can follow us on our YouTube channel, which is dotfmcsa Compliance Specialist. We do have more and new transportation courses available. If you'd like to join our email list, you can. You will get access to our new courses, and then also any documents that I give to help you guys out for cheat sheets and worksheets so that you can help get your business off to a better start. If you enjoyed this presentation, I do ask that you remember to like, share, and follow us at your earliest convenience, guys. You know, one share, you never know. It might make the world a difference for somebody who thought they were going to have to go out of business, but, you know, something I've said here may help them stay in business. So again, I want to thank you for watching. Remember, you can subscribe for free. To be notified of our new course releases, join our email group today. Remember to like, share, and follow. This has been the third video in our Chasing the Dream series. Again, we were offering this to you guys for free, and it's from DOT FMCSA Compliance Specialists. We're located in Fresno, California. Our telephone number again is 559-319-8464. Thank you guys for attending. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, just drop them down below or just direct message me. I'll be glad to answer any messages that you or questions that you may have. Thank you guys, and y'all have a wonderful day. Please be safe out there.